Would you like to support Cubs Out Loud? One way is to join us over on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, patrons get early access to our shows, the pre- and post-show, and various other rewards. You can learn more at patreon.com/CubsOutLoud. Thanks to all our patrons for their support in making this podcast. It's Sunday, July 20th, 2025. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
I don't brew the tea, I just serve it.
And that makes me Gary.
Everyone else is thinking it, and I just say it.
Welcome to Cubs Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length, episode number 791. And congratulations, I finally did a successful intro to a podcast. Anyways. Let's talk about sex. Specifically, Gary.
Well, before we get into the theme, I think somebody out there should just give you a blowjob as a congratulations.
Huh. Ha ha ha.
Everybody likes a little reward now and then. Anyways, so yes. Kind of part of the theme. It's a Let's Talk About Sex series show. I'm glad I cracked you up, David. So, this thought occurred to me recently as a aging cub. I wanted to talk about the concept of hooking up now versus when we were younger. So the title of the show is Hooking Up 25 Years Post-Millennium, because it is 2025. And we all were around for Y2K. Which was 1999. And for those youngins out there who don't know what that is, go look it up on Wikipedia. So here's the thing. The landscape is different now. Like how you meet folks and have fun is not the same as it used to be. So I just wanted to kind of talk about what's changed, how we feel about that, if there are advantages, disadvantages. Because I've said repeatedly on the show, if I was younger and growing up now like I was when I was younger, then my whole outlook would be very different about sex and opportunity and meeting people. Because, baby, we grew up when there wasn't a thing called the internet. And cell phones were bricks that you carried in a bag. Like, and only if you had enough money.
You may be that old. Mine was a candy bar.
Well, I didn't mean that, like, no. When we grew up, when we were single digits, people out there had cell phones that were the size of a brick that they had in the bag. I'm not saying we used
But I wasn't looking to hook up
like,
at that time.
I don't necessarily think I was, but I was having fantasies when puberty hit. But like it was just a very different age. Like we relied on print media for fantasy, like to see things, to read things, to possibly know and learn things. And now, like I can literally on my tablet just go in and type in a subject matter on some specific websites and see what comes up as videos that are homemade, amateur, or professional on a topic.
Just slammed in the face with dicks. Just
yeah.
Or whatever you want. Like I'm not no shaming. Just
right.
Oh boy.
Using dick as an example is all you were doing. That's fine.
Yes.
Right. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm just kind of curious. This is what I find I do. I'm going to own this because this one came from me as a subject idea. I'm a voyeur.
Mhm.
I love to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So the ability to like scope out online who is where and who's around is very interesting to me.
Oh, so you one of them? You're like getting on the app. You're not. You're not on.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're looking.
you're not on the app.
Wow.
You're not on the app necessarily to hook up with somebody else. You're on the apps to get some tea on other people. Like,
No,
oh,
no, no, no. I did not say
they're
that.
like 3 miles. They're
I
3
did
miles
not.
away.
I
They're
did
like
not
5 miles.
say that.
Wow. Uh huh. Uh huh.
I did not say that.
You
Damon.
did
You
not.
didn't. You didn't say
Don't
it.
be putting words in my mouth.
You didn't say it.
No, no, no. But
Not the way I was
It-
thinking
it's
he was
just
talking about.
the,
All I thought he was
the
looking
way-
on and just looking at what guys were on and looking at pictures and then fantasizing and such.
Right.
Not trying
No,
to figure
so-
out who's hooking up with who.
I mean, there's a little bit of that. Well, because sometimes you find that profiles are right next to each other when they used to be not next to each other, and so you kind of put 2 and 2 together and realize like, oh, that might be a thing that's happening. So it's a very different landscape now. I mean, I feel like I grew up in a time I lived very ignorantly about the fact that like, I mean, I'm going to own it. I was just watching videos this weekend of like guys hooking up with, and it's so funny because it's a whole genre. It's like hooking up with the neighborhood daddy or the sexy stepdad or like,
Right.
and a whole bunch of these titles after a certain point, I was like, these are 2 complete strangers. Y'all don't even know each other. Like he's not your stepdad. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's very amateur, these hookups and stuff. But what's been enlightening to me is to be like, oh, that shit was always going on. I just didn't know about it.
I mean,
Now it's a part of the landscape in a certain aspect of our culture. So it's like, I'll own it. I'll just say it. I'm on Sniffies. And baby, they have pivoted their marketing in the past, I want to say maybe half year or so. And they have become, I think, one of the preeminent bisexual male platforms. Because I think more and more men are owning and recognizing their preference, decision, desire, whatever you want to call it, to have an orgasm. And that the mechanism to get to the orgasm is not necessarily that important. As in that it has to be, with a person who has a vagina.
Right.
So that being the case, I'm like, there are an awful lot of men. And some of them probably on the DL. But it's just very, very different now. And so now hooking up, I'm not talking about dating. I'm just talking about like having some moments. Whether it's oral, maybe involving penetration, side, hand. Like, I mean, some of that stuff is still prevalent today. People have particular things that they enjoy, no hair, like certain attire, anonymous, blah, 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 glory holes, you name it, pickle parks, hookups, and, public places, like the potential of getting caught, all that stuff is still totally valid, but it's just a very different landscape now.
Right. Yeah. Wow. I'm just trying to go. I'm going back. I'm trying to go back in time, and I will say, for me, realistically, a lot of what I got involved with, especially hooking up wise, did not really occur until the internet.
Okay.
Like, was I playing around when I was younger? Yes, absolutely. My youngest experiences were with the neighbor when I was like 11. Like that that happened, but that just happened to happen. And I went very quickly after that into a very like darker like area where I didn't do anything with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
like besides myself, like no friends. But when I went to college and got online, that's where a lot of my hookups happened, and um, in a larger way, it's what I'm used to.
Mm.
I'm used to like being on sites and chatting and um, meeting someone somewhere, like setting something up to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and then are them coming to my place or whatever. Usually it's them coming here. That's what I'm more used to than the cruising and those kind of like avenues. Because hi everybody, I don't drive, so cruising really hard to do when you don't drive. Um, is it impossible? No, there are ways to make it happen. But for me, it was easier. It's always been easier to use a chat room, an app, um, a website to get what I'm wanting in the moment. Um, has that changed over the years? Absolutely. Um, like my first hookups were fucking like Yahoo Chat. Like that's if you remember that from how long ago that was. To now, Stiffies is a big one. I will admit. I also am on other sites, and it's just I think the best way to put it is what I'm used to. And am I capable of doing some of the other things on occasion? Um, I'm less now. I am less going to engage just out of fear of getting caught. I have a really wonderful life that I don't want to fuck up with like some scandal or some bullshit. So um, I'm not going to hook up with a guy at like in a bathroom. Um, when I was in my 20s, teens 20s, could that have happened? Absolutely, did a couple of times. Um, but like now I've grown to a point where I need how to make this sound. I need a bit more security,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. Like, yes, anyone can be anyone on the internet, but like, um, I've made like set up precautions for myself. Like, I don't normally meet without a picture. I normally only meet older people. Like, that's just a weird one for me. I normally, um, I try to have. I am not someone that will jump on an app and be meeting someone in 5 minutes. Like, that's just never going to happen. Um, unless I am like taking a pill or something like that, and I am beyond horned up. And even then, I'm gonna have to talk a little bit. I'm gonna need to have a bit of a conversation. To the point where now, straight up asking me want to fuck is almost. I'm not. I'm good. Like that's almost always gonna be my answer. Because if you're immediate, like even though I know the sites I'm on, I know what I'm looking at, I know what these are for. Um, if your immediate like gut response is just like we're gonna fuck, like then I'm just not as interested or invested.
Mm-hmm. So you bring up an interesting point because I guess I was probably a late bloomer to the online like connections of things.
Hmm.
I mean, I did gay.com way back in the day.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, I may have done, was it AOL or Yahoo, like chat
Hmm.
rooms?
Yeah, AOL. They both did.
So, like, but for me, it was going to the bar and knowing where cruising places were. I mean, to your point, I mean, I didn't drive until I graduated college, so I was later on that. So I didn't do in-person cruising a whole lot until I got my own vehicle, because it does, benefit that in a way. But yeah, like, I mean, I had kind of learned and knew about, like glory holes and people meeting in public and that kind of stuff. And, there's a whole culture to cruising. Some of it has been lost in some ways, I think, but now with the direction of way things are going, I'm not going to be surprised if there's a rise in, anonymous, casual hookup, kind of underground
Right.
aspects of that, because people are concerned about, what might be the outcome if, someone finds out or says something or does something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think of that, like, to my knowledge, not being a thing as much anymore as it used to be. Like, and I'm also thinking, like, reflectively back, even though I'm talking about post millennium, I'm thinking pre 2000, if you go back 25 years, so you go to 1975, like, hookup culture at that time, what things were like. And I think it was really, you had to know where to go and eventually learn signals, what things mean, flashing of headlights if you're in a vehicle, the hanky code for flagging, you know, if someone stares at you, gives you a head nod, makes a gesture, the physicality of that kind of stuff in terms of, like, hooking up when you're in the same place, like seeing someone from across the room and locking eyes with them. Um, you know, if you're in a bar, buying them a drink. Just things of that nature, that a lot of that I think is not necessarily a part of what we do these days. And by we, I mean collectively, like at large.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
I mean, I think part of it also can be just how we personally have changed.
okay.
Like, to me, I feel like it was easier to hook up 25 years ago
Mm.
and even 15 years ago.
Interesting.
And nowadays, it seems like I'm not even going to bother. It's so hard. You get somebody, it sounds like they're going to hook up and they flick.
Mm-hmm.
So but also I have changed personally where
Mm-hmm.
I don't like going out very much. I don't really want to drive somewhere to hook up with somebody. I just don't feel the need. So, and like when I moved here and was just like, I want to hook up, I want to hook up. I did get a couple of hookups, but in the end, it really wasn't worth it. But I've changed from what I was 15, 25 years ago to
Right.
what I am today. Like I was hooking up all the time in the 20 aughts.
Oh yeah.
And then, I mean, like, with the with Craigslist getting rid of their adult sections. And it just seems like it's just so much harder just to get some dick or ass or anything nowadays. That
It,
it's just
yeah,
I don't have the energy anymore.
it's
Just like
easier and
nothing.
harder at the same time,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yes, completely.
Like you want to get something, you can get on an app and like make it happen and look at like a site and find it really quickly. You know, there's people all around you looking to hook up. However, I mean, spam is a thing, like constantly, like on any site, especially the ones that are free. Um, like spam is going to constantly be a thing. Um, Scammers is going to be a thing. There are
Mhm.
people who are just outright assholes, and like again, flakiness is flakiness to me is like one of the biggest like deterrents.
Hmm.
Because nothing says fuck all this. I'm throwing my phone away. Then like getting riled up, having a conversation, talking to somebody, things are getting you found a connection, you're getting it really going, and then either they stop talking altogether or you actually make plans and then they don't show up.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think
And
that's also like a big cultural change that's happened, because now more than ever, people feel empowered to make choices for themselves. And what I think is a double-edged sword about that is the downside is that they don't see the negative impacts of those decisions. So like, I've made a commitment to do a thing, but I'm not going to do it. I don't feel like it,
mm,
you know, for whatever reason. My mental health, my physical health, my well-being. It's raining outside, you know. I have ADHD. I'm now distracted. Um, you know.
yeah.
So because of that, I think there is a larger predominance of individuals that do back out or no show or, you know, flake out or whatever. Or what I see a lot is that people will like start a conversation, you know, digital realm and just flake, just like disappear. Like you won't even get to talk about hooking up. They just
Mm,
are gone.
ghost.
Like maybe, right, like maybe you share some pics. That's the end of that. Never hear from them again. Lots of, I mean, and to be fair, I don't know, because what you see, thanks to logarithms, are not necessarily representative of everything. You know, sometimes like it's like, oh, I was messaging this person and then all of a sudden they blocked me. You know, and you have no, most of the time you don't know why. Or as I
Right.
saw someone that we both reciprocally know through the podcast posted and said that they found that some people were removed that they were connected with on a social media platform. And they were really
Mm,
surprised by that. And now they're speculating that they've had other people removed. And the only way to know is to actually look through their list and realize that they haven't heard from some people or seen some posts from some people, and then seek them out and be like, how am I not following you? I knew I already was following you, which I thought was a very interesting perspective, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's
I,
very valid, Jeff, where you're like, I just don't have the energy or the interest or, you know, whatever to engage and invest in that stuff. You know, because there's a multitude of factors behind that.
yeah. Yeah. 'Cause sometimes I think the usual thing is like you were saying, Jeff, is it worth it? And most of the time it's not. Like,
Well, things are different now. Like hooking up has always been hooking up. And as I've made a joke for way too far long, you're looking for 7 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a very long interaction necessarily. And the factor I think that has changed is the math of that is that people know this is a wham bam and I'm out the door kind of a thing. Like, more often than not, a hookup isn't revolving around other stuff. It's not usually, I think the dating aspect has diminished. Do you know what I mean? Like, where dating had a certain percentage frequency of like turning into fucking. Like, you were getting to know each other, and if the date was going well and all that kind of stuff, then, like, later on you're knocking boots. God, I haven't heard that saying in a long time. So, there's things along those lines I think that have just changed, and now, and part of it I think is just, I'm going to own it up. It's like it's the male struggle, and by male I mean like as a self-identified cisgender male who has sex with other cisgender males. My perspective is very much skewed on that whole, like, I'm not looking for a long-term thing. I'm not maybe even looking for a friend with a benefit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just looking to have an orgasm or to give an orgasm, whatever the case may be. And so it's very transactional and it's very limited. And because of that, I think, to what Jeff's saying, is it worth the pursuit? Like, the amount of time and the energy, the prep, like, whatever that stuff is, like, does it balance out? Does the math, and you're kind of like, maybe not. And we have so many other things that can give us the hormone spike that we're looking for. Like, we have the technology, so we have gaming, we have a myriad of things we've invented on the food front. So, like, I could hook up with somebody, or I could eat a bag of chips, or I could take an edible, or, you know what I mean? Like, I could drink this, alcoholic kombucha. I mean, like, so the world is just very different in terms of what meets our desires or needs, on various fronts. And listen, can we talk about toys for just a moment? And here's why I want to talk about this. When I was younger, I didn't even, well, at a certain age, I had no idea that sex toys existed. And then when I found out about sex toys, let's just be honest, all right? From the oldest to the youngest of you out there, when sex toys were made a long, long time ago, like decades ago, they weren't very good. The plastics were not the same as today. Silicone wasn't a thing. Lube was KY. Like, there was so many things that were not working in our favor. So now, today, you see somebody online, you build a parasocial relationship with them, you're like, I really like that butthole, or I really like that dick. You can get a replica. You can order it, and it can be to your house in 72 hours. You could be fucking, like, that booty hole or taking that dick in just a couple of days. That was not the case quite some time ago. I'm just saying. And so I mentioned this because I think that also changed the landscape, because now, more than ever, I think probably somewhere between a third to 50% of the households in the U.S. got a sex toy in them. And if you had asked me, like, back in the 90s, how many houses had sex toys in them, I would have been probably, one, naive, and two, I would have very much lowballed the number. And I would have been like, maybe 10%. So, like, I realized that there were probably more than I knew of. But I think that's another prevalence factor into how hooking up has changed today. Like, why am I going to hook up with somebody when I don't need a person? I got a pocket thing that I can use.
Got a pocket.
Or if you're really going to invest some money, you got a machine. I'm just saying.
I
Do you
mean,
need to
where's the
put that
lie?
soapbox away? Over in the closet?
I mean, it just when I was a young adult, investing in like and getting a cock ring was kind of a thing. Like people weren't making them in their garages or basements and selling them on Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know if you can sell them on Etsy or not.
You probably can. I'm just gonna say.
Maybe, I don't know. You probably have to
You
sell
may
it,
not be
call
able
it a bangle or a bracelet or something, like. But
A cock
Don't make me
bracelet.
I didn't
sign that.
get away with calling it a marital aid, if that's still a thing these days.
Marital aid.
Just pulling out all the old terms, but the the prevalence, like the accessibility, like all of that stuff, I think are big factors to that, and so it has really, I think, kind of modified people's interactions and desires and decision making. That's where I was going with that when I started on my rant about the toy thing. Is like, if you've invested and gotten some, you could easily say to yourself and be like, oh yeah, I could just use my flesh jack and like in 10 minutes, like I got my serotonin boost. I just have to clean my, toy. Y'all better be cleaning your toys out there. Don't be doing that
Please
nasty
clean your
thing about
toys.
not cleaning them. and clean them with the right kind of things. Anyways. But like 15 minutes said and done, right? As opposed to tap 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 and here's my address or where are you, and like, and then there's travel involved and like, getting to the place and then sketching it out and being like, ooh, not a good neighborhood, or listen, I've had some sketchy hookups in my past, and I've probably talked about them on this podcast before. So like, I'm just gonna own, we are not always, when we were on the horn, we are not necessarily thinking the best things.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to safety, which goes back to your point, Damon, about how like you take things into consideration now very differently.
Mm-hmm. So I will say I have not found cock rings on Etsy, but I have found plenty of other adult toys.
Of course you
But
were
that's what
searching for it.
I searched adult toys. That's what I did. So, and yeah, there's it's interesting.
I just think it's funny that while I was talking about that, David was like, let me go online and let me go to
check Etsy.
Etsy.com and hit search and be like, cock rings. See what
I
comes up.
didn't.
No pun intended.
Oh my. Oh, that's ice. Okay, never mind. Go away. Okay. I'm not making a thing out of ice. Nope. We're not doing that.
I mean, that's some serious level stuff. Melting toys. Yeah.
There's some. There they are. Thought so. Thought there would be.
Yeah.
Yes. You can. Yep, you can. Didn't take long.
Silicone, wood, metal,
metal,
rubber,
and the
latex.
rubber.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, it's probably like Etsy is also kind of gone to the like it's not like the dude in his basement making stuff. It is like people are selling things for other things, like other countries and such. Just so you know.
True. The landscape has changed. It's not quite the craft, like
Yeah.
creator landscape that it once was.
But
I saw a video recently where someone was talking about, it might have been, what's the safe word? They were talking about how it's some of that part of that platform has become a reseller landscape. Like, so they're getting stuff from Temu or Alibaba or whatever, and they're just like,
right. Yeah. And then like there are things like, benches, like the leather benches and things like that were on there. So
right.
You can get some things. I had I kind of feel self gratification has become okay. I don't want to say, how do I put it? There are many ways that you can get off without having another person or people.
Right, right.
And has that changed in 25 years? Kind of. As you were saying, like, yes, there are new toys and like love sense and vibrators and what have you that could make it all the more easy for you to get yourself going. You can connect other people digitally, and you can do virtual like hookups with like headsets and VR and all that shit. It's doable, and you can get what you for a hookup. You can kind of get that feeling. You can get those hormones, as it were. Um, but if you are oddly or for whatever reason potentially looking for that intimacy encounter,
Hmm.
you aren't really going to get that way.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about the feel of another person on you, or touching you, or being with you, even if it is just for 7 minutes. But kind of going back to Jeff's point, sometimes it's not worth it. It really isn't, because sometimes what they say they're into isn't always what they are into.
Mm.
Like sometimes they're just probably like you, looking to get the nut, and if some people will sometimes just say what they think you want to hear so they can get in there and get going and get off and then be on their way. And they don't do what they promised or said that they were going to do. So you're
Mhm.
kind of left feeling empty
Or
and
literally.
unsatisfied. You might not be literally empty, but you're definitely unsatisfied.
Right.
Um, um, and that can be the problem as well. I can recall some rather unsatisfying hookups for various reasons. But usually, most of the time, it's come down to we had this idea of something we were going to be doing and we didn't do it.
Mhm.
Or you said in your profile you were into this, and then we get together and that's not what you're into at all.
Right. Well, and to be fair, I mean, I think we've talked about it before. The older you get, the more experience you have. It's understandable that you would not want to maybe be with a person who doesn't have much experience or is completely inexperienced. Because you know what you want, and that's not it.
I again, as I appreciate the youngins and wanting to learn and do more and get out there. I really do. However, usually when I'm online and looking to do things, my time is very limited. And in all honesty, I'm not looking to teach in those moments. I'm not looking to guide. Um, a different time, a different place, maybe. But now, when I only have so much time because I'm doing everything else and all that, and also most of the time I'm here and I'm not always free. Uh, I I I don't have the time. I also sometimes don't have the patience. Um, to deal with you not knowing anything, and that goes not just for like youngins. That also goes for, I hate to say it, like the older inexperienced who have never done anything. Um, I get that you've not had a lot of experience because of repression and everything, and I can understand that. But if you have not done anything before, I'm going to be less apt to like bring you in when I am just literally looking to just hook up and
Right.
get off and get my 7 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah. I think that's fair. So I think predominantly, with the change in technology, the way people meet and hook up, those avenues have changed. The vast majority is now digital, electronic, social media, web or app based. And not so much the in-person stuff. I mean, we've talked about it kind of before, and I feel like I want to touch on this at some point, not tonight. Maybe bring a guest on to talk about the art of cruising
Mm-hmm.
and what's changed in that arena and how that is not what it used to be. And I have perceptions about that. Like, it is happening less than it used to. Also, like, knowing and understanding potential people to hook up with and like their interest and availability, all that kind of stuff has probably changed as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think again, I go like I think Jeff talked about this. Like younger days, I was very much about like let's fuck. Let's like I wanted to have as many experiences as I possibly could because at a point in time I didn't have any at all. For many years I didn't have any. And you get to a point where it's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Mm-hmm.
And cruising has not been my cruising. I will own has not been my specialty. Um, and I would say, with the exception of like a bear run, I don't think I've had much opportunity to like actively cruise.
Well, and that's another aspect, right? Like how many times are there opportunities to do that? Like if there are less events taking place, then there's less opportunity for that. If there's less places to go to due to variable factors, businesses closing, changing landscape in your immediate area, um, you know, things being shut down, whatever. Like, to me, it's kind of parallel also about how like there are not as many bathhouses as there used to be. So I think those are also part of the conversation, and like there's just been this decline on a number of fronts.
Right.
So that being said, do we think things are, I don't know if I want to say easier, improved, better because of like the technology and the advances and the accessibility, I guess?
I would say different. I think we're probably
Okay.
about really at the same point. It's just depending on who you are and how you like to function, it could be hard for some people, easy for others. And as people grow, they change, and methods they were using before don't necessarily work as well, or whether they want to or not. Because I'm sure there's plenty of people who are like getting hooked up left and right with today's electronic journey, and probably much easier than they did 15, 20 years ago. But then some people have the reverse effect, where it feels like it's pulling teeth, which means you don't have the energy, which means you just don't hook up. Or
Well,
you hook up a
right.
lot
I mean, and
less.
I agree. Like there's some interesting, I don't know if I want to say parallels, but like interesting viewpoints about like that. So you were talking about like, yes, like there's people that are probably hooking up all the time. And I'm like, right, like what, 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have the ED medications that we have available now that you could just like go, 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 go. And, you know, be a marathon bunny and, you know, sticking in every hole. So, or just a couple or just one repeatedly again and again and again and again and again. So, like, there's that aspect of things that have also changed for that. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think more than anything, my perspective is that like, yes, it has definitely changed, and I agree, Jeff, that it is different. And you know, I think everybody's opinion is going to be a little window into like their perspective on how things have
Right.
been
Yeah.
for them personally.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think again, like a lot of stuff changes the landscape. For me, I'll just speak personally. You know, Jim and I have been in an open relationship since about the beginning. But one of the things that changed about 10 years ago is, oh, we moved into a house together. We had been living separately for, you know, about a decade before then, before we decided to move in together. And once we moved in together, we made rules because the landscape changed. I'm no longer in my apartment that I have free reign of and can, you know, bring someone in without, you know, no matter what, like anytime, anywhere. I now have rules that I need to respect and follow. And it's good in a way, but also as I have gotten older, the need and desire to like consistently, constantly hook up has diminished. Um, do I still get riled up at looking at pictures at, you know, guys on the blue skies or what have you? Absolutely. But I'm not gonna quickly make something happen because of that. Um, I other avenues to take for something like that if I want to have that experience. I don't need another person necessarily. Or um, because of age, and I'll own this, I'm not a like I'm not the 7 in a night or, you know, 10 in a night like comer like I used to be. Like, right? Like that's factual. Sometimes it's gonna be a one and I'm good. Like I'm done. I'm good. I can't. It's gone to bed. It's sleepy time. It's done.
Such
And
a humble brag.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
But you're right that like, you know,
yeah.
your life has changed, your physical body has changed, your stamina has changed, your energy has changed.
Hmm.
Like all of those can be various factors. So yes.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of the other side of this conversation. I like Jeff was saying, I'm sure there are people out there that are ready and willing to like hook up anytime, anywhere, any place, what have you. And they can. They have all the access and ability to do so. But just as many of those people there are others that are need to be, I don't want to say careful, but I think the word I'm looking for is need to be mindful for whatever reason. Because maybe medically, once they're done, they're done. Like, so I want to make the most of the one shot I've got. So I'm not gonna spoil it on a 7-minute hookup. Maybe I'm gonna do something bigger or better. And with our current world and society, we have many other ways to make that happen. We haven't touched on it, and I'm going to bring it up briefly here. Sex workers. You can, I keep saying dial a dick, but dial a dick.
Or an ass.
Rent them in. Yeah. Yeah. And if you've got the coin, you've got the potential ability to make something like that happen. And it's a lot more, I think there's a lot more discretion now than there probably was years ago in a way. And there's a lot more opportunity than there was, 25 years ago.
Right.
Oftentimes we tended to think of the muscle bound masseur that you could call in and would for the phrase dial it in and get you off and get off or whatever and take the money and be done. There are burlier sex workers, there are daddy sex workers, there are sex workers of all shapes and sizes that are actively promoting themselves, and I appreciate that, um, because that makes me, respect the craft, um, because I know that they're not usually the person someone would immediately think of, when they think about this path, going that path.
No, I think that's fair.
What was that?
It's so weird, Jeff.
What?
I'm seeing, like, you have like the filter, and when you blow the smoke, sometimes the like right behind you is like a pillow. It looks like on this couch, and it looks like it literally disappears. It just it just caught it. My eye caught, and I'm like, oh.
Anyways, I think we've talked this to death. How's your sex life been going? Plenty of ways to let us know. Yay, nay. You don't have to be detailed or very detailed. Take your pick. Up to you. You can do that plenty of ways by going over to our website, cubsoutloud.com, shooting us an email at cubsoutloud@gmail.com. You can also leave us a voicemail or send us a text at 361-COL-TALK. That's 361-265-8255. You can follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube at Cubs Out Loud, the appropriate places URL. Join our Entourage chat and chat us up on Telegram at bit.ly/telegram-col. Find out when we're planning or recording these shows by checking out our Google Calendar at bit.ly/calendars-col. You can various accoutrements, and all of us are wearing something. We got a logo shirt, we got flexibility for accessibility. We got, now that you're sticky, here's your cookie. A shirt. You can get that at zazzlezazzle.com/cubsoutloud. Some of these designs were designed by Smashy. You can find more of his work at tpublic.com/Smashy the Bear. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/cubsoutloud. Or send us a donation at paypal.me/cubsoutloud. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, any podcasting platform. We're probably there. I don't even know why I bother anymore, but I'm just not social. Anyways, good luck finding me. Damon?
If you wish to get in touch with me, you can find me at COL791. That's THEATRECUB79 on most of the related sites are on, Tumblr. Or you can find me as PupUmbra79 on Blue Sky. That's not safe for work. For the safe for work stuff, you want DMAGamer79 on Blue Sky and TikTok. Gary?
If you would like to get in touch with me, you can pretty much find me anywhere online as GareBear73.
With that, say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.